Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so excited today because I'm going to share with you one of my favorite baking recipes, and then we're going to go over to the kitchen table and we're going to spend some time drawing what we're baking. So today we are baking an easy vegan banana cake, and I got the recipe on Pinterest and I'll link down below. I add a few additions to the original recipe. I'm going to put in some vegan dark chocolate chips, and then I also add some cinnamon. This is Penzeys cinnamon. And I've already got my oven ready to go. It will beep in a little while because it's preheating at 350 of these cake pans. So around, I think this is an 8-inch cake pan. All my dry ingredients in here. It's 2 cups of flour. It is 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then I was just going to be putting into my larger bowl my 1 cup of sugar. So here's the sugar, and we've got a 1/2 cup measuring, so we'll do 2 scoops. This is an easy recipe that honestly, I've been making like every weekend lately. It's just a really easy one that you can make and then have on hand during the week. So that's the sugar. And then we need 1/4 cup of oil and 1/4 cup of water. It do need to be missing. So if you want to put in, if you want to add your own chocolate chips, I've also made this recipe by taking like 3 medium-sized apples and cutting them into large chunks and adding that. That tastes amazing. Becomes a cinnamon and apple and banana cake. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. So it makes this recipe makes a very good basic vegan cake, a banana cake, and then you can just add to it. Now the recipe calls for 4 ripe mashed bananas. I have 3 fairly large bananas that I'm going to use in my recipe. So I'm going to add those in just a second. I'm just pouring out my my chocolate chips. So I have those ready to go. I'm putting in about 1/3 of a cup of chocolate chips today, which is a little bit more than I normally would put in. All right, so for mashing the bananas, I've found that the easiest thing to do is literally just start squeezing them a little bit so that when the skin pops like that, you've got the bananas nice and mashed, and you can just add them to your wet ingredients. When your bananas are really ripe like this, it makes the banana bread just a little bit sweeter. I said banana bread, but this is actually called a banana cake in the recipe. Just gonna throw this one away real quick. And it does come out with more of a cake kind of a texture, but if you're familiar with American, there's my oven waiting for me. Usually I have it ready, but that's fine. If you're familiar with American like easy breads, it's like that. So more like a cake bread, kind of a combination of the two. All right, so that's my second banana in, all mashed up. And last, so I said that what we're going to do is after I'm done baking this, I'm going to pop it in the oven, and then I'm going to hop over to get started drawing my ingredients, drawing out what the cake would look like, kind of making a book. I'm working on a project right now. I'm hoping it'll be like a Christmas present for my mom and my sister, and I'm putting some of my favorite recipes and illustrating them. So I will have another video that will show either another video or it'll be with this video depending on how long this one goes. All right, so I've got all my mashed bananas, my sugar, oil, water, all in here. I'm gonna kind of give it a little stir, make sure all my bananas are pretty mashed. I've done this a few different ways. I've done it where I've left the bananas a little bit more chunky. In this case, I'm having them fairly well mashed. It's completely up to you how you want to do it, whatever your preference is. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stir in the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. I will tell you honestly, usually I just do this all in one bowl. But I wanted to prep the dry ingredients, so I wouldn't have as much of me just putting ingredients into a bowl. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this a good stir till it starts to come together, because we've got all of our ingredients except we need to add our cinnamon and our chips. I'm gonna add the cinnamon and the chip. I'm gonna add the cinnamon now and then the chips in just a little while, because I want the cinnamon to be more incorporated throughout. I'm not measuring out the cinnamon, just putting a fairly decent dash in there. And I've got to get this flour mixed in here. Starting to come together here, and then we are going to add the chips in just a little bit. It does tend to be a fairly wet dough because of all the bananas, which is a lot different than some doughs, but if you've made a banana bread before, it should look similar to that. Actually is looking very wet this time. Hoping we have enough. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the chocolate in there and mix them in. I want to incorporate them last because I don't want them to break up too much. These chocolate chips are fairly hard. They don't break up a lot, but I just wanted to add them as my last ingredient. So there we go. It is thicker than, or not really thicker, but wetter than it has been in the past. So we'll have to see how it comes out. It usually takes in the 350 degree oven, but all ovens are different. It usually takes about, depending on what kind of pan I've used a loaf pan and that'll take longer, but about 45 minutes, a good 45 minutes when you're making it in the cake pan. So I've already oiled the cake pan. You just take a little vegetable oil or whatever kind of oil you want to use, and then put a little bit on a paper towel and rub it down. And you shouldn't need to flour this one. It should be fine. We got an extra chocolate chip. There we go. Get all this other stuff out of the way for a second here. And we'll go ahead and pour this into the cake pan. You can kind of see the consistency of it. It is very thick. It's almost more like a pancake batter at this point. I'm try to get all that in there. There we go. Another good scoop out of here. All right. Put this to the side. We'll have to clean that up later. So now I'm just gonna go and throw this in the oven again and set my timer for 45 minutes. You'll want to cook it until you can stick a thermometer, a toothpick in the center, and then the toothpick comes out clean. Or you can use a knife. Okay? Thank you so much for baking with me. I hope you had fun. Let's see what happens after this comes out of the oven.